The response that we have been receiving from our members as well as our fellow chambers is that they thought that the program launched by the government for the year 2009 was indeed very innovative, and it solved the immediate challenges of a lot of businesses, in particular the SMEs. About the test bedding and the core innovation fund, I think this is also another very good initiative, in particular in the green space. The business community is very encouraged by this fund. Of course, later on we have to see how is the take-up rate and how will this position Singapore in next 3 to 5 years. Our development takes time, but it is something that will provide a holistic approach to the business community in the area of R&D, and not just R&D, but connecting them to business opportunities.
On this point, if you don't mind me just clarifying, if there are, because this is a space that I think there's been a lot of discussion, and there is a lot of intent to support it. But are there specific measures beyond just supporting the innovation funds and all that to help companies who are now in this space really leapfrog? Because I think that there's a lot of activity, but it's how to scale up. Are there things that does this group have suggestions of very specific measures that could help in the next phase of scaling up?
Since I'm a culprit, well, I think we carry out some experiment with EDB and with the support of A-Star, and in collaboration with Temasek Polytechnic. And at the same time, we also connect ourselves to the various innovation groups within the university to group together. I think as far as the budget is concerned, there's a limit of what the budget can do. Specifically, when you drill it down, I think what we would like to see is in what way the business chambers can be a catalyst to do the connection between the R&D, between the government agencies, between the companies, because a lot of time in order to build a solution, it's not a one company solution. You need to build a cluster to do that. And we actually at Singapore Business Federation witness that, and at the same time connect to the business opportunity overseas. So I think it's not just who is going to do what. I think we need a collective effort and with a focal point. And Singapore Business Federation is definitely working towards that direction. For example, we have an initiative in Tianjin Eco-City. If you're not careful, it becomes a standalone over in Tianjin. We have a knowledge city which is in Guangzhou, and then we also have a mini eco-city in the making. So what we have done is to use the Singapore Business Federation Sustainable Development Business Group, connect to Sustainable Energy Singapore Association, connect the Singapore Water Association to do a holistic approach so that we can do networking, we can do policy briefing, we can get business to work together, and not only just restricted to Singaporean company, but using Singapore as hub to hub in as many collaboration as possible. And for now, we are also working on some holistic, what you call a project approach to bring our companies overseas, like in the area of, for example, rather than just sell water solution, rather than just sell what you call e-government services, we should be able to use Singapore as a showcase. It is a show window. Get people excited, then we form a cluster to move in and capture that space. In the next 3 to 5 years, this is indeed a space because a lot of infrastructure spending is taking place, and we have a good name. We have capacity, not Singaporean pure, but a mixture, and therefore people trust the ability for us to deliver.
If you look at what has been done under the green policy, whilst on the one hand we try to encourage the use of greener vehicles, for example hybrids, the green rebate itself is just not sufficient to encourage anybody to do the switch. You just look at a typical comparison of equivalence of a hybrid car with an equivalent that is totally fuel powered. You got to be altruistic to want to pay more to use a hybrid. Secondly, Singaporeans are enjoying a very good and rapidly expanding network, train network. It wouldn't have happened if government didn't invest substantially in the infrastructure. So similarly, we talk about CNG, but where are the refueling stations? Why couldn't government lead the way and put in the infrastructure and create a lot of CNG refueling stations, and it would take off? So I think we for some reason, we are not looking at the possibilities of creating a model out of Singapore, which will augur well for our manufacturers, because you're coming out from a city that is a living model itself, and that becomes the testimony and becomes the branding.
The total package has definitely helped the businesses, in Singapore in the last year. Particularly the 3 areas, which is the job credit scheme, which I'm glad that the government is extending it for another 6 months, albeit at a very sort of a scaled down rate. And also the loan scheme for the particularly for the SME, I think that has helped quite a bit. And I hope that when the time comes later on, the government will review this and perhaps with the view to further extension if necessary.
On the budget for last year, I think, there were a lot of very good incentives. There were incentives for job credits, and I do agree that it came at the expense of company having to restructure. So I think, while we're a bit out of the woods, companies are looking to restructure, and I think the government should then consider, incentives for restructuring. Stamp duty exemption when you have to restructure. Of course, there's got to be a time period. But these things take time. It doesn't take 12 months. And you don't restructure when a company is very uncertain about what's happening in the economy.